This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So yesterday we have discussed some miscellaneous concepts like string functions, okay, and what else? Field symbols, all those things. Now, next requirement is we have some more miscellaneous concepts which we should know. Like we have a statement like submit. So let us see the usage of a submit statement. So let me develop a simple program. Yeah. So type of program as usual, executable program. I'll save it in the local object. Done. Yeah, just observe here. So we have a keyword. We have a statement called as submit. So what is the purpose of the submit statement is it is used for calling a program from another program. Submit statement is used for calling a program from another program. Okay, so let's see that. So here we are in the 16th program. Let me give some message. Yeah, I'll give some message, right? Uh, I'll say something begin of program 16. Then here I'll say end of program 16. Begin of program 16 and end of program 16. So when I execute this, yeah, I got the result what? Begin of program and end of program. Nothing much to discuss here. Okay, so here what I'll do is, yeah, in between these two statements, I will use a statement called as submit. Submit. I'll give the program name as something Z830 program 17. Z830 program 17. So when I execute this, no syntax error. So what is the purpose of submit statement I told? Submit statement is used for calling a program from another program. So I'm trying to call a non-existing program. So at this stage, we don't have any program with the name what 17. So I'm trying to call a non-existing program using what submit statement. Let's see what happens. So when I execute this, I got the runtime error. Program Z830 program 17 not found. So what is the error analysis? Program 17 is not in the library however. Okay, so I got the runtime error here. Program 17 not found. What is that runtime error here? Load program not found. Load program not found. So if you go back, so what we are trying to do here, we are using the submit statement to call the program 17. Since the 17th program is not available, this statement execution is leading to what? A runtime error. So how do we avoid this runtime error? In order to avoid this runtime error, I need to create the program. I need to create the program with the name Z830 program 17 and then execute this particular 16th program. So let me create, I'll open another session. Already we are in one session. How do we open another session? On the standard toolbar, we have a button what? New GUI window. I can click on that. Like that, I can open up to 6 sessions. I'll click on new GUI window. Okay, so without closing the previous session, I'm opening the new session here. Right, so SC38, I'll give the program name as Z830 program 17. create. I'll just give some title like target program. Type of program is not executable. I'll save it in the local objects. Right. So here I'll just give a statement, right? Begin of program 17 and end of program 17. Begin of program 17 and end of program 7. Check for the syntax, no errors, done. Okay. So this is my program 17. So if I directly execute this program, nothing to discuss here. I got the statements. Begin of program 17, end of program 17. So our agenda is what? Not to execute this 17th program individually. I need to call this 17th program from the source program, that is from the 16th program. That is the reason in the 16th program, I am using a statement called as submit. So and in the earlier case, what happened when this program 17 was not there, I got the runtime error, load program not found. Now program 17 is available physically in the library. So when I execute, what is the output I should get? Anyone? What is the sequence of output we are expecting? Anyone?
Begin of program
Begin
16,
of program 16, begin of program
begin
17,
of
end of
program
program
17,
7.
end of program 17, and end of program 16.
So you mean to say overall 4 statements I should get, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's see what is the output we'll get. I'm not executing the 17th program separately. I'm executing the 16th program. Within the 16th program, I'm trying to call the target program 17. So when I execute this, see the output. I'm executing the 16th program. What happened? I'm able to view the output of what? Target program. Understood? I'm able to view the output of target program, not the statements related to the source program. So when I say back here, that's it. I'm executing the 16th program, but we are able to view the output generated by the target program. So what is happening here is very simple. Submit statement will call this program 17. Control will go to program 17, executes the statements in the program 17, and the control remains there only. Something like this. So this is my source program, program 16. This is my target program, program 17, you assume. Okay, this is program 16. I call it as what? Source, or I call it as what? Calling program. Okay, and this is your program 17, which we call it as what? Target program, or we call it as called program. Okay, so in the program 16, we are having some statements like what? Begin of what? Begin of program 16. Then we are having submit program 17. Then we are having something what? End of what? Program 16. End of program 16. In the target program also, we have the statements like begin of program 17, and this is end of what? Program 17. Okay, begin of program 17 and end of program 17. Okay, right. So we are executing which program? The 16th program. So the execution starts from here. Understood? The execution starts from here. So here execution starts from this particular line. Okay, so when the execution starts there, right, execution starts from here. So when the execution started, it will execute the first statement. So this program 16 that is a source program, will have some output screen because the write statement gets executed. This is the output screen, list processing screen of what? Program 16. So what is the output it would have generated? Begin of what? Program 16. So internally, when the statement got executed, this is the output which got generated internally. This is the first statement. I'll put it as the first statement because the execution starts from there. Right. Then after generating this output, what is the next statement here? Submit. The next statement is submit. Okay, so control goes to what? The target program. Control shifts to target program. This I'll put it as what? Second statement. Control what? Shifts to control shifts to program what? 17. Done. So when the control is shifted to program 17, what happens? It starts executing the target program. So in the target program, what is the first statement? Begin of program 17. So it would have generated this output. Begin of program 17. Assume this is a output screen. LPS of what? Program what? 17. LPS of program 17. So according to the sequence, this is the third statement which gets what? Executed. This is the third statement which gets executed. It would have generated that particular output. What is that output? Begin of what? Program 17. Done. After this, we have one more statement. So this statement also gets what? Executed. End of program 17. So it will execute the next statement in the sequence. End of what? Program 17. This is the next statement which got what? Generated. This output which got generated. So assume this is what? The next statement. I'll put it as what? 4. So this is a sequence of steps which gets executed. Okay, this is a fourth step. Okay, right. Do you have any further statements in the program 17? No. So once it finishes the execution of program 17, the control remains in what? Program 17. Control will not come back to the calling program. That's why what is the last output screen got generated here? Output screen of program 17. So when I execute the 16th program, we are able to see the output generated with the last program which got executed, that is program 17. But internally, it might have executed this statement also, begin of program 16. But what is the default behavior? Once we use the submit keyword, control jumps to the target program. Control remains in the target program. After finishing the execution of the target program, control remains in the target program. So what is the adjustment I'll do here? Instead of using submit here, okay, instead of using submit, I'll say and return. Submit program 17 and return. So and return means what happens here? We are telling SAP after finishing the execution of the target program, okay, return the control back to what? Return the control back to what? Calling program. So this you assume fifth step. Okay, control what? Returns back to control returns back to what? What? Program 16. So when the control returns back to program 16, it will execute the further statement. So here I would have said what? And return. Understood? So it will execute the rest of the statement. What is the next statement here? End of what? Program 16. So this output gets generated. So this is the final statement which gets executed. So if I don't use and return addition, control remains in what? Target program. So this is end of what? Program 16. End of program 16. What is this output here? 5, 6. Okay, this is the sixth line. Is it clear? This is the sixth line. Done. So let me execute now. Save it. check for the six. So I'm executing the, sorry, I have not used that. I used handwritten, so let me activate. So when I execute, see this here. This is the output of the target program. What is the first program which has finished the execution? The target program. After finishing the execution of the target program, only control will be written back to what? Calling program. Okay, so when I say back here, now I am able to see the output of what? Calling program. Begin of program 16, end of program 16. So one thing you have to understand is we cannot merge the outputs of what? Both the programs. Each program will always generate what? Separate output screen. So this is the submit and return statement. Submit is used for calling a program from another program. To return the control back, we have to use the addition what? And return. Yeah, any questions here? We don't have the provision to merge the outputs of both the programs. No questions? Okay. So question arises why we have to call the other program from another program. So to share the processing between multiple objects, we can go for what? Submit. Okay. To divide a task between multiple objects, we can go for what? Submit. Instead of defining the entire task, entire logic in a single object, we can segregate that into what? Multiple objects, and we can call it one by one according to the requirement. So let's see the actual usage of submit keyword. So it is used for what? Sharing the processing between what? Multiple objects. Okay. So as part of this processing, one program needs to exchange the data of one other program. Understood? What are the values available in the source program? I should able to access those values in the target program. Then only we can share the processing between what? Multiple programs. We should able to exchange the data between what? Multiple programs. So let's see the scenario here. Right. So 16, 17 is done. So I'll keep it as it is. So my next requirement is just want to show a simple example on how to exchange the data between two programs. How to share the processing between the two programs. Okay. So what I'll do is my requirement is I have a requirement to read some two integers as input, to read two integers as input, perform the sum of those two integers and display the sum value. So what is the requirement? We need to read two input values from the user, perform some calculation like addition, and then display the result. So I can do this task in what? One single program. In the same program, I can read the input, I can process the input, I can I can do the calculations based on the input values and generate the output in the same program. So instead of writing the complete functionality in a single program, instead of writing the complete functionality in a single program, what I'll do, I'll segregate that into what? Multiple programs. So I'll take two programs, program 18 and program 19. Okay. So my requirement is program 18 should take care of only the IO operations. input and what output operation. Means program 18 is responsible for reading the input and generating the output. That's all. Program 19 should contain what? Actual processing. Means the actual calculations should be done in what? Program 19. Am I clear? I repeat once again. I can do everything in a single program. It works fine. But here I want to demonstrate how to exchange the data between what? Two programs. So for that reason, program 18 should focus on reading the input and generating the output. Program 19 is responsible for doing the actual calculation. So let's see that. So first let us focus on program 18. I'll develop these two programs parallelly so that you'll understand the flow. So program 18. I'll just give some title. Type of program is executable program. So what is our agenda? To perform the sum of two numbers. So let us read two input values from the user. So how do you read parameters? I'll say p underscore x type I. Okay, p underscore y type I. So I'm generating the selection screen to read the input from the user. So go to text elements, selection text. I'll say something, enter first number. Right, so I got the first number and what second number. Okay, let me default some values and make them as obligatory so that every time I need not enter. Right, so let us focus on this program 18. So I assume this is a program 18, which we are calling it as what? Source, or we are calling it as what? Program. Calling program. So what is the first step we are doing here? We are reading what? Input. We are reading the input. We are reading the input in what? P underscore x and p underscore y. So what are the input we read? That input values are stored in what? P underscore x and p underscore y. Done. But based on this input values, actual calculation I have to do it in the other program. Na? So other program should able to access these values. What are the values I entered in the program 18? I should able to access that values in the program 19. Okay, I should able to access in program 19. So what I'll do here, I will use a statement called as export. Export p underscore x to memory ID A1. Okay, I'm using some statement called as export, which is used for exporting p underscore x value to the memory ID A1. So what is this export will do is, during the execution of every program, during the execution of every program, okay, you'll have some memory called as Abap memory. So I assume this is an Abap memory. We cannot see it, it is only our visualization. Okay, this is Abap memory. So why I'm dealing with Abap memory? Because I want to share these values. I want to access these values in what? Other program. So in order to access these values in other program, what I have to do, I have to store these values in the Abap memory. So what is the statement I'm using? Export. So the value will be exported. Here I'll say again export p underscore y to memory ID. I'll give some identification A2. You give whatever you want. I am giving it as A1 and A2. So what happens is, in the Abap memory, some memory identification would be there. Memory identification would be there. Okay, so what are these memory identifications? A1 and what? A2. So assume this is A1, assume this is A2. What value is maintained in A1? P underscore X value, whatever is the value is there. And what value is maintained in A2? P underscore Y. So what is the second statement we are doing here? We are exporting, right? We are exporting P underscore X and what? P underscore Y value to what? Abap memory. So this export statement will write these values to what? Abap memory. Automatically it will write these values to ABAP memory. It will maintain that values in the ABAP memory, something like this. Excuse me. So this is your, yeah. So what this export statement will do, it will maintain that values of P underscore X and P underscore Y in the ABAP memory, which is identified with what memory location A1 and what A2. So assume that it is maintained in ABAP memory. After this, what I'll do, once I store that values in the ABAP memory, I will use a statement called a submit Z830 program 19 and I'll say return. So I need to construct this program 19. So what is the next statement we are doing here? We are saying submit. Okay, submit what? Program 19. So when I say submit program 19, the control will be given to what? What to the target program. So assume this is a target program. This is program 19, right? Program 19. This we call it as what? Target program or what? Called program. So assume that control is transferred. Control is transferred to the what? The target program. Okay, this is the third statement. Done. So we are not yet done with program 18, but parallelly what I'll do, I'll try to develop program 19 parallelly so that you'll understand the sequence. Okay, so what I'll do now, we are not yet done with program 18. So in another session, let me develop program 19. So 830 program 19. Type of program is executable. So what this program 19 has to do, it has to perform the sum of these two input values. No? These input values are stored in what? ABAP memory. With what identification? A1 and what? A2. So this program 19 should read those values from what? ABAP memory. Okay. So what is the identification? A1 and A2. So the variable in the program 19 also, I have to use the same variable names. So here I should not use parameters, because if I use parameters, again it will generate the selection screen. So I'll declare it by using data keyword. What are the variables names there in the source program? P underscore X and P underscore Y. So I declare these variables. Done. So this program 19 has to read that values from the ABAP memory. So I'll say import P underscore X from memory identification what? A1. Import P underscore Y from memory identification what? A2. Am I clear? So what this program 19 is doing, it is importing the values from what? ABAP memory. So this is the third statement. The control shifted there. So the fourth statement is import what? P underscore X and what? P underscore Y. We are importing the P underscore X value and P underscore Y value. So assume this is imported. This is your fourth statement. Assume that it got imported. I'm poor in drawing, so excuse me. Right. So p underscore x and p underscore y value is imported to what? Program 19. What this program 19 has to do, it has to perform the calculation. So for doing the calculation, I require a variable. So let me declare a variable. Let me give a variable name as something v underscore z type I. I'll say v underscore z equal to p underscore x plus p underscore y. So what is the next step I'm doing in the called program? I'm doing the calculation. I'm doing the calculation in the next program. What is the calculation I've done? V underscore z equal to p underscore x plus p underscore y. So the result is stored in which variable? V underscore z. This v underscore z value should be displayed. Na? So output generation should be taken care by what? 18th program. So this calculated value should be available in what? Program 18. So, okay, we have done the calculation program 19. It should be available in program 18 for display purpose. So after doing the calculation, what I'll do, I'll say export v underscore z to memory ID. I'll create a new memory ID A3. Let me save it, check for the syntax, activate. So after doing the calculation, this export statement gets executed. So I assume that this is a fifth step. What is the sixth step here? Exporter. Export what? V underscore z. So assume that it is exported. Okay, this is exported to what? Abap memory. So assume this is A3. This is A3. What is the value exported? V underscore z. So this is the next step. The sixth step is this one. It is exported, you assume. Right? It is exported. Right. So assume that it got exported. So I don't have any further statements. I don't have further statements in the 19th program. So I'll activate this. Right. So once this is executed, if you go back to the calling program, 18th program, here you said and return. Na? So what is the behavior of and return? Once a target program execution is finished, control should return back to what? The calling program. So control return back to what? This particular what? Source program. So this is your what? Source program. This I'll put it as what? Seventh step. Control what? Returns back to what? Program 18. Right? Once a control returns back to program 18, okay, it has to execute the further statements. Na? So what I'll do here in the program 18, after I have to import that value which is there in the Abap memory. So I require that variable. Na? Let me declare that same variable I have to declare v underscore z type I. The 18th program we have to import v underscore z from what? Memory ID. What is the identification? A3. A3. So this import statement gets what? Executed. This I'll put it as what? Eighth statement. So assume this is your eighth statement where I'm saying what? Import what? V underscore z. So we are importing this value from what? Abap memory to the program into which variable? V underscore z. V underscore z. So assume that it got imported. After importing, what you have to do? We have to display it. Na? So the final step is what? I'll say write, that is display what? V underscore z. So I'll use the write statement. Write statement will execute the, will generate the output screen. So this is the output screen of my calling program, LPS of what? Program 18. So it would display that particular result. Sum is so on. So whatever the result is there, that some result would be executed. So this statement, display statement, will execute this. Sum is so on. So okay, so what I'm trying to show here is program 18 is only responsible for what? Reading and what? Displaying. Actual calculation we are doing in what? Program 19. So in the program 18, once I receive it, here I'll say write what? Sum is what? V underscore Z. Save it, check for the syntax, activate. So my program 18 is active. Make sure that program 19 is also active. Which program you have to execute? The 18th program. Inside that 18th only we are executing what? 19th program. So when I execute this, yeah, we are in which program? 18th program. I am reading some input here. I'm reading some input. When I execute, I got the result. Sum is what? 101. So here I don't have a feeling, I don't have any feel that two programs got executed, but internally both the programs have exchanged the data. Understood? If I debug, let me try to debug quickly. I'll debug the 18th program. I cannot debug the variable declarations. So parameter comes under variable declaration. So when I execute this, I'll enter some input values 44 and 22. Execute. So see where is the control here? Control is there in what? Program 18. Control is there in program 18. Okay. So in the program 18, one second. Yeah. In the program 18, we have read this value p underscore x is 44. P underscore y is what? 22. P underscore x is 44. P underscore y is 22. And if you see v underscore z at this state is in default value is 0. So we are exporting x value to the memory ID A1. We cannot see that memory physically. So when I say fi, it might have exported that value to the Abap memory with what identification? A1. Still the control is in what? 18th program only. Okay. Again, I'm exporting the other variable fi. It might have exported to ABAP memory with identification A2. Then here I am saying submit 19 and return. Now the control will be shifted to what? Target program. Okay. So when I say fi, yes, it is going to some internal coding which we need not understand. Don't try to understand. Again, I'm stressing, don't waste time in understanding the standard code. It is of no use. Okay. I'll say F7 to come out of this. Done. Where is the program now? 19th program. Control is in the 19th program. Okay. In the 19th program, what we have done, we have declared some variables x, y, z. Na? So you can see x value is 0, y value is 0, z value is also what? 0, default values. So F5, we are saying what? Import x from memory identification what? A1. So in the ABAP memory, there would be some identification with the name A1. In that identification, whatever the value is, it will be imported. So when I say F5, yes, what is the value it is showing? 44. When I say F5, Y value is how much? 22. We are doing the calculation. V underscore that is 66. We are exporting the 66 to again to what? ABAP memory A3. Once this 19th program execution is finished, since I said and return as part of submit statement, control goes back to what? 18th program, na source program. So when I say F5, yeah, it has came back to what? 18th program. So if you see v underscore z still 0. Now we are saying what? It is trying to execute the statements after submit. So we are trying to import z value from what? ABAP memory identification A3. So when I say F5, yes, I got 66, I got the result. So from debugging, it is understood that control is flowing from what? One program to what? Another program. But if I execute directly, we don't have any feel that multiple programs are getting executed internally. I got the output straightforward. So how do we share the processing between multiple programs means with the combination of what? Submit, export and what? Import. With the combination of submit, export and input. So ABAP memory is a memory which is available during the program execution. Multiple programs can access that memory location to share the processing between them. Okay. Any questions, please ask.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I.
Sir,
Yes,
I
Rajat.
just, yeah, I lost it and I missed the part when you were submitting. So, can you please, in a short version, can you please explain this submit and also this memory both? Thank you.
Uh, Export will write the values to ABAP memory. Submit will shift the control to the target program. In the target program, I am importing the values in the ABAP memory. After doing the calculation, again that calculated result, I need to display it in the calling program. So again, I have to put it in the ABAP memory. So I'm using exports. You can follow the sequence. 1, 2, 3. Submit, nothing to discuss. Submit will shift the control to what? Target program. Once a control is shifted to the target program, it starts executing the target program. So what is the first statement I wrote there? Import X and Y value from the ABAP memory. Already the values are maintained in the ABAP memory. We are reading it. How to read? By using what? Import statement. So the values will come and sit in those variables. Based on the variables, I am doing the calculation. This calculated result I have to display it in what? Program 18. So I need to put this in what? ABAP memory. How do you store it in ABAP memory? By using what? Export statement. So according to the arrow pointer here, it will maintain that in the ABAP memory. And while calling this 19th program, I said and return. So SAP will have the intelligence that once a target program is executed, control should return back to what? Calling program. Control will return back to the calling program and executes the statements after what? Submit. So after submit, what we are doing, we are importing what? V underscore Z value. We are importing that and then we are displaying it. Yeah, hope it's clear.
Sir,
Yes, I.
sir, can we use other names instead of A1, A2, A3, or we should
You
use
give
only
it.
A1, A2?
No, no, you give anything A, B, C, X, Y, Z, P, Q, R, L, M, and whatever it is. But while exporting whatever you give, while importing also, we have to give the same names. But I can give
Okay.
any names. Not A1, A2, you can give any names.
Sir, can we import the values directly from source program to target program?
No, ABAP memory should be the mediator. Compulsory,
Okay.
we should put the values in ABAP memory. Then only we can exchange the data.
Okay, sir.
Hope this is clear to everyone. What is the lifetime of this ABAP memory? The lifetime of this ABAP memory is only for that particular session. Only for that particular session. Once you come out of the session, the values maintained in the ABAP memory will be destroyed. So this is not required, but just for your satisfaction, just for knowledge sake, observe here. Observe this carefully. I'm executing which program? 18th program. I'll give the input as 100 and 200. So what is the output? I'll get 300. Na? So when I execute, what is the result? I got 300. So what is the last value of v underscore z in the ABAP memory? 300. Keep this in mind. Now I will develop an independent program. Some independent program, some test program, which is nowhere related to 18th or 19th program. It is an independent program. It is an independent program. So I'll declare the variable v underscore z. Variable name should be same. Type I. I'll say import v underscore z from memory ID A3. A3. I'll try to print the v underscore z value. Right? So we were in the same session. We are not logged out of that session. So my expectation is the value of z should be what? 300. Am I clear? If everything, all the cache issues will be there. If everything is fine, my expectation is 300. So when I execute this program is nowhere related to 18th or 19th program. In this program, I just declared a variable and I'm importing that variable value from the Abap memory with the identification what A3. So when I execute this, I should get the result as 300. When I say fit, yes, what I got? 300. Okay, I'll go back to my 18th program. 18th program. Let me execute this once again. 18th program I'm executing. I'll give the value as 150 and something 240. Execute. What is the result? I got 390. So what is the last value stored for the variable v underscore z in the Abap memory? 390. Na? So when I execute that other program, ztst program, right, where we are importing that value, when I execute this, my expectation now is I should get 390. Yes, what I got? 390. Good. So what is the last value? 390. Now what I'll do is, let me close this. I'm closing the sessions which I opened earlier. I'm logging off from the session. So what is the understanding? This ABAP memory will be destroyed. ABAP memory will be available for every session which you open. Now I'm beginning the new session. I'm re-login. New session means I'm re-logging. The old session is destroyed. Let me provide the credentials. Right. So I'll go to that program, ZTST programmer, ZTST program. Right. So when I execute this now, this is a fresh session. So when I execute this now, my expectation is I should get 0 because the previous values will be destroyed the moment you log off from that session. So my expectation is what now? 0. I should get 0. If everything, if I don't have any memory issues, I should get 0. I should get 0. Okay, let me execute now. What I got? Bhavani, can you please mute your speakers? Yeah, what is the result I got here? 0. Am I clear? So, what is the understanding? The lifetime of this ABAP memory is only during that session, only during that particular session. Once you come out of that session, the values maintained in the ABAP memory will be destroyed. So you can think like this. This ABAP memory gets created for every session you begin. For every session you begin, for every login you do, that session will be created for that particular Abap memory. The values maintained in that Abap memory will be available only for that particular session. Only for that particular session. Okay. Yeah. Any questions, please? So how do you share the processing between multiple programs with the combination of what? This submit, export, and what? Import statements. Submit, export, import, I have to use them parallelly. I have to use all of them together. Right. Now what I'll do is, let me open that 18th program. Observe here, so far, how we are executing the programs? We are executing the programs by opening that program in what? Abap editor. So I'll go to SC38. I want to execute that 18th program. So I'll say Z830 program bot 18, Z830 program 18. So if I display, this is a program I want to execute. So I can directly execute from the initial screen, or I can open the program in display or change mode. I can press what? F8. This is how we execute the program. But end users, who will make use of these reports? By the end users. End users will have access to our production system. So assume that I am an end user. As an end user, I have to run this particular report. So if the end user, assume this is a production system, if the end user runs the T code SC38, you may get a message, you are not authorized to use the transaction SC38 because SC38 is a development T code. SC38 is a development T code used by whom? By the ABAP consultant. End users we don't know what is that Abap editor. So if you are giving access to Abap editor, we have to share the program name with the end user. Na? If the program name is shared with the end user, he can do the changes whatever he wants. So generally, access to SC38 will be prohibited for what? End users. End users. Okay. So what I mean to say is, for every object that we develop in the real time, we will create the T code almost for every object that we develop in the project. We'll create the T code, transaction code. So far, we have used the standard T code SC38. Okay, like that, we can create our own T codes also. So my agenda is what? This SC, what is the program name? Z830 program 18. This program 18 has got some selection screen. What is the selection screen number? Always 1000. We know that. So my requirement is, I want to create the T code, transaction code for this particular report program, for this particular object. So to create the custom T codes, we use SC93. Okay, in SC93, we will create the transaction code. Why T code is important? Because for end user, we will prepare a manual. In that manual, we'll list out the T codes. So if you use this T code, this report will be executed. The other T code for some other report, like that, we'll prepare a manual. The end user will refer to that manual for running the transactions. Just like if you purchase any new product, a new mobile phone, you may get a booklet. Okay, we'll refer to that particular booklet to understand how to use that particular product. Similarly, we'll prepare the manual. Okay, in that manual, we'll prepare the list of T codes and other information. So what is my agenda here? For program 18, I want to create a T code. For creating the custom T codes, we use SC93. So I'll go to SC93, SC93. Yeah, in the SC93, it is asking the transaction code name. Since it is a custom T code, okay, I'll start with the Z. I'll give the T code name as something Z some T code, or Z add. It's there, okay, or I'll say something Z plus something. What is the T code name having? Z plus some T code. Some T code name. Since it is a custom T code, I have to start with what? Z or Y. So I'll say Z plus create. Okay. What is the T code I'm using? SC93. I'm in which T code now? SC93. I'll give the T code name, some custom T code name Z plus create. When I click on create, it is asking for the short text, which is mandatory. I'll give some short text, T code for report program 18, something, some meaningful short text I'll give. What is our agenda now? We are trying to create the T code for an executable program. Na? We are trying to create the T code for a report program. So choose the radio button, second radio button, program and selection screen. What about other radio buttons that we will see during the course, when as and when required. So as of now, we are creating the T code for a report program. So choose the radio button, program and selection screen, report, transaction, program and selection screen, continue. Done. There is a mandatory field, a program. For which program you want to create? 18. Na? So I'll run the I'll provide the if you don't know the program name, you browse. But if you browse, you'll have thousands of programs in the SAP system. Na? Okay, it will be difficult to identify that. Understood? That is the reason I'll remember that. What is the program name? Z830 program 18, right? And that program is having a selection screen. That selection screen number is always 1000. So select in the selection screen field, provide what? 1000. It is coming by default here. Even if it is not coming, you provide 1000 always. So this is my program name and this is a selection screen. Then what you have to do? We have some checkboxes here. You select these checkboxes, then only our T code creation is complete. Without checking these checkboxes, Okay, you cannot use the T code. So just select these checkboxes. SAP GA for Windows environment, Java environment, and browser environment, HTML. Okay, so forget about these options, but just select this particular checkbox, especially this SAP GA for Windows. Select the checkbox. I'll not select. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happened. Okay, let us see will run or not. But for some of the programs, this checkbox selection is mandatory. Let us see for this program. What is the T code I gave? Z plus. Save it. It is asking for the package. I don't have any package. I'll save it in what? Local object. So here I don't have any activation button. Only saving is there. What is the T code name? Z plus. I can directly execute here. I can test it here by pressing F8, or in the command field you can run the T code. What is the T code? Z plus. Z plus. I'll press enter. It is working. So even though I have not selected the checkbox, it is working. But what I said, for some of the objects, the T code, the checkbox selection is mandatory. Here in this case, even if I don't select the checkbox, it is working fine. But when you come to DELAC programming, module programming, selecting the checkbox is mandatory. So as of now, make an habit to select those checkboxes, right? So what is the T code I give? Z plus. So end user will always run the T code. So remembering the T code is far better than what? Remembering the program name. So we are providing security for your program. We are not exchanging our program name with the end users. We'll just create the T code. In the manual, we'll provide the information about this T code. T code is Z plus. When you run this particular T code, I'll get so and so result. So I'll run the T code Z plus, right? I'll provide some input values, execute. I got the result. Understood? So what I mean to say is, for every object, almost for every object that we develop in the real time, we will create the transaction code for user convenience. Yeah, any questions? As of now, I have not selected the checkbox. If you modify that, again go to SC93. What is the T code? Z plus. I can open it in change mode. Better as a practice, you select this checkbox. In this case, even if I don't say it is working fine, but going forward for some of the objects, these checkboxes become mandatory. So better we select that. So just save it. That's all. So what is the T code name? Z plus. I got so and so. So end user, you need not go to SC38. Directly in the command field, you will run the T code for executing that particular report. Yeah. Any questions here? Yeah, I gave some assignments. Anyone able to do? I didn't receive any mail from anyone. Okay, so try to do that. If you get the answer, let me know. Okay. Right. So we are done with the complete basic programming part. Miscellaneous things we understood. Write statement, data statement, constant parameters, different data types, selection text, selection screen elements, push buttons, IO fields, text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons, okay, blocks, tab buttons, and we discuss some events: initialization event, at selection screen event, at selection screen on field event, at selection screen on radio button group, at selection screen output event, field symbols, import statement, export statement, submit statement, Abap memory, okay, and we have seen some string functions, concatenate, string length, offset logic, right? So all these things look simple, but we have to use them together going forward. So tomorrow onwards, I'll start with a new topic. What is that new topic? I'll decide tomorrow only. And again, one more thing I want to convey. I may not follow the exact syllabus sequence. It is not possible to follow the same sequence. You will have the dependencies. So we'll be jumping from one concept to another concept wherever required. So don't expect that I should go by the serial order which is mentioned in the syllabus. We cannot follow that order. You'll have the dependencies. So I'll be shifting from one topic to another topic on and off. But by the end of the course, whatever is there in the course contents, everything will be covered practically. Okay. So what is the new topic? I'll decide tomorrow only. Okay. Yeah, I'm done for today. Any questions? I'll give one more assignment. If you have time and patience, you try to do it. What is that exam? What is that assignment is? If I open, which program was? Yeah, if I open 10th program, for example. So we already know how to add the push buttons on the selection screen. Now your assignment is you try to add the push buttons on the application toolbar. We have the selection screen. On the selection screen by default, we have an execute button. I want my own buttons on the application toolbar. Just like suppose if you go to initial screen, here they have added some buttons. No? They have added some buttons on the application toolbar. So your assignment is how to add buttons on the selection screen application toolbar. So take your own time and try to do it. Adding push buttons on the selection screen application toolbar. Done? So I'll stop now. We'll continue tomorrow. Any questions before I log off? Chalo then. So thanks everyone. We'll meet tomorrow.